Do you know? Now, in various corners of Australia, North America, and South America, you can buy K-food products produced by major South Korean companies. The sales of these products increased by 40% in 2020. Koreans say, "Our cuisine is also good, our food is healthy, you can give it a try." Imagine yourself walking on the streets of New York, entering a convenience store, and seeing a bunch of Korean kimchi and tofu. Wouldn't you think, hey, this is just like the food I make at home? Haha, it seems like Korea is occupying the vacant market in China, and we look forward to seeing China's counterattack. Hello, everyone. I am your news anchor Yali, providing you with a one-stop service for China-related news every day. This is something you won't find anywhere else. If you have any opinions or thoughts on these topics, feel free to leave a comment in the comment section. We will read them carefully and reply to everyone's comments. The suspects involved in China's Operation Foxhunt are being tried for the first time in a U.S. federal court. One of them is a former New York police officer, along with his two Chinese friends, who made a fresh career transition. They became private detectives. But they are not looking for lost pets or tracking cheating spouses. They are searching for people on behalf of China, dissidents and so-called fugitives. However, instead of offering people candy and persuading them to return voluntarily, they use intimidation and coercion, making people feel like they are watching a horror movie. One can't help but say what a miraculous transformation it is. From being a police officer to becoming the Chinese version of 007. Just imagine the scene. Hey, Agent 007, your mission is to find those dissidents and then make them go home for dinner. It's like surpassing even 007. Maybe their next goal is to establish a spy academy and train a group of highly intelligent secret agents? To be honest, when I see this, it reminds me of a phrase commonly used by us Chinese, using every trick in the book. I have to admit that China has indeed come up with some creative tactics. But my friends, do you know? Using every trick in the book actually has a second half, which ends in failure. It sounds like kicking a ball and missing it, doesn't it? U.S. Senators Rubio and Merkley introduced the Uyghur Forced Labor Prevention and Accountability Act on May 31. When they introduced it, I almost thought they were going to present an ancient scroll. The goal of this bill is to expand sanctions against relevant officials, provide assistance to victims, and allow them to publicize China's acts of genocide. This bill seems spicier than hot sauce. I wonder if this news in China will be censored like a movie with mosaic censorship? Meanwhile, at the U.S. Air Force Academy, President Biden delivered a speech in front of the graduates, emphasizing that the United States does not seek conflict with China. It truly shows the complexity and sensitivity of international relations. I can imagine that after the speech, President Biden quietly called in his advisors and said, "Quick, give me a copy of the International Diplomatic Sensitive Topics Response Guide. I have to make sure that every word I say doesn't cause any controversy." Poor President Biden, it's like walking on a tightrope, where a slight misstep can lead to losing balance. Japanese Defense Minister Nobuo Kishi and U.S. Defense Secretary Austin expressed concern about China's coercive behavior and its attempts to undermine the rule-based international order at a joint press conference. The U.S. also reiterated its opposition to any unilateral change in the status quo in Taiwan and China's use of force to unify Taiwan. I must say, these words are like giving the Chinese leadership a lesson in etiquette. However, Beijing refused to allow the U.S. and Chinese defense ministers to meet in Singapore. Big brother China, what are you afraid of? Do you have some undisclosed conspiracy again? But we cannot ignore the move of the Chinese Defense Minister Li Shangfu signing a memorandum of cooperation with the Singaporean Defense Minister. It makes one wonder, what exactly are China and the United States up to? Does China's foreign policy need more openness and transparency? What is China busy with again? They are wooing Europe. That's quite clever. Inviting Chancellor Scholz's advisor to Beijing and meeting with high-ranking Chinese officials such as Wang Yi and Qin Gang. The Chinese media made a big deal out of it. But there was not a single word about this news in the German media or official government releases. It makes one wonder, what is the German government up to? Are they also engaged in some undisclosed activities? Maybe they are playing hide and seek. The French ambassador to China expressed that France is willing to serve as a bridgehead for Chinese companies entering the European market. That's really good news. But I can't help but wonder, will this bridgehead suddenly turn into a maze, leaving Chinese companies bewildered? The Lisbon Plan prohibits telecommunications operators in Portugal from purchasing 5G products from high-risk countries, effectively banning Chinese telecommunications network equipment like Huawei. The UK Defence Ministry's Intelligence Department stated that China will engage in more direct competition with the UK in many areas. It is expected that by 2030, China will pose the greatest challenge to the UK's overseas interests and economic security. In response, the spokesperson of the Chinese embassy in the UK urged the UK to stop spreading anti-China remarks, stop inciting confrontation, and avoid leading China-UK relations astray. It's like a fight between cats and dogs, let's see who can outdo whom. After being sanctioned by the West, Russia has seen a surge in the number of dark fleets used to evade external supervision. These cruise ships use advanced positioning deception technology to induce Western insurance companies to cover them and ultimately transport oil to China. It's like playing hide and seek, if you can't find me, I'll have oil delivered to China. These dark fleets are truly cunning. However, we must not forget that the official Manufacturing Purchasing Managers Index, PMI, released by China shows continued contraction in industrial production, but the PMI published by the economic magazine Caixin shows that industrial production is in an expansionary state. This reminds us of the saying, statistics can convince anyone, but there is only one truth. Taiwan and the United States will sign the first batch of agreements under the Taiwan-U.S. 21st Century Trade Initiative in Washington, D.C., at 10 p.m. Taipei time on June 1. The new government of Fiji in the South Pacific has renamed the Taiwan office but has not officially unveiled it yet. In response, the Taiwan Ministry of Foreign Affairs stated that the Fijian government is under pressure from mainland China, and Taiwan is actively negotiating with Fiji and will explain the situation publicly at an appropriate time. Does this mean that China is strengthening its control over the Taiwan issue? In response to a former Women's Department Party worker from the Democratic Progressive Party, DPP, being sexually harassed by a DPP-affiliated director, Taiwan's vice president and DPP chairman Lai Ching-te expressed deep regret and offered the greatest apology to the party worker. He also said that they will not turn away or let it go. It makes one wonder, is Taiwan undergoing the baptism of the #MeToo movement? With the national security law taking root in Hong Kong, the city's civil society is shrinking, and the license of Hong Kong cable TV, which used to hold the largest June 4th commemorative event in Asia, officially expired on Thursday, June 1st, at midnight, and the cable TV channel ceased broadcasting. It has been 4 years since the city last lit candles for the victims. With the Chinese government cracking down on democracy in the name of national security, Hong Kong is rapidly aligning with ordinary mainland cities, while the grievances between the Chinese and Hong Kong people continue to increase. Tesla CEO Elon Musk visited China for 44 hours and received a high-level reception from the Chinese side. He was warmly welcomed by both officials and the public. He expressed opposition to decoupling and emphasized the intertwined interests between the United States and China, likening them to conjoined twins who are inseparable. Musk faces two unfavorable conditions in China: fierce competition and a shrinking market share. Additionally, Tesla is at risk of being affected by the escalating hostility between the United States and China. Furthermore, the company has failed to fulfill its promise from 2021 to design, develop, and produce the next model in China. This raises the question of whether Tesla has been affected by the Great Wall of U.S. China relations. NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang stated that it is entirely safe to rely on Taiwan for high-end chip production. Huang plans to visit China in June to meet with executives from Chinese technology companies such as Tencent and ByteDance. Zhang Guangjun, Vice Minister of the Chinese Ministry of Science and Technology, met with ARM CEO Simon Segars in Beijing. He encouraged ARM to deepen its cooperation with Chinese universities, research institutes, and enterprises. He also expressed the ministry's commitment to providing services and support for high-tech companies from various countries, including ARM, to develop in China. Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Mao Ning stated that China is firmly advancing high-level opening up to provide a market-oriented, rule of law, and internationalized business environment for companies from all countries. This indicates that China's role and influence in diplomacy and technology are gradually strengthening. Recently, there were reports of Thai durian exporters traveling to Pahang, Malaysia, to purchase the highly valued Musang King durians and then selling them to China under the name of Thai Musang King. The Malaysian Ministry of Agriculture urged fruit farmers in Pahang not to let Malaysia's renowned Musang King durians become products of other countries. This demonstrates that China's market demand has a significant impact on the agricultural industry of other countries. The global anti-scam organization, GASO, a U.S. nonprofit organization, recently announced that 2 Chinese individuals were placed under soft detention in Myanmar. Chinese ambassador to Myanmar Chen Hai summoned Myanmar's deputy prime minister and minister of home affairs, So Ht, and stated that both countries must intensify their joint efforts to combat telecom fraud. Has telecom fraud become a diplomatic envoy between China and Myanmar? Furthermore, the Chinese economy is facing a mixed situation. State-owned enterprise profits are growing, indicating a positive outlook, but employment and consumption in the private sector remain sluggish. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. The first key data on the Chinese economy in May confirmed what was suggested by the April data. The post-pandemic recovery in China, which greatly exceeded economists' expectations in early 2023, is showing signs of losing momentum this spring. The issuance of local special bonds in China decreased by nearly half in May, indicating a slowdown in government investment at a time when economic recovery is losing steam. Moreover, it appears that the Chinese real estate market is cooling down. Data released by the China Index Academy shows that in May, new housing prices in 100 cities in China stopped rising and began to decline, while the decline in second-hand housing prices expanded. The Caixin Manufacturing Purchasing Managers Index, PMI, published on Thursday, June 1, showed that China's manufacturing activity rebounded above the boom-bust line in May, indicating that manufacturing production and operations remain resilient. However, the employment situation continues to deteriorate, and business confidence has significantly declined. China's Manufacturing Purchasing Managers Index contracted faster than expected. Foreign investors are selling Chinese stocks and accelerating capital withdrawal. In May, only 2 private equity firms registered with the China Securities Investment Fund Association, reaching a historically low number in the first time the monthly registration number has fallen into single digits. Panasonic Energy, the global sole lead-acid battery production company located in China, ceased production on May 31, and a Hong Kong-owned Dongguan factory closed down. Tech giants like Apple are beginning to relocate certain businesses away from China. The trend of reducing risks is prompting companies to make new decisions. Bao Fan, the chairman of China Renaissance Capital, who went missing in February this year, reportedly had his detention period extended by 3 months. Lin Kong, the chairman of China Renaissance's Hong Kong securities subsidiary, also had his detention period extended. Will China's government policies increasingly have a negative impact on the livelihoods of its citizens? Japanese 100-yen shops like Daiso have started accepting Alipay and WeChat Pay. The two new Chinese QR code payment methods can not only be used at Daiso but also at chain stores like Standard Products and THREEPPY. It seems that China's mobile payment has gone international. I wonder if this will impact the payment methods of other countries. China is implementing a plan to return farmland to cultivation and reduce deforestation. For Xi Jinping, China's food dependence on the United States and Ukraine is excessive. Is China starting to strive for self-sufficiency? Artificial intelligence, AI, in China is becoming a hot topic. China is vigorously developing AI technology, and the three major first-tier cities, Beijing, Shanghai, and Shenzhen, released policy documents in the last 2 days of May to encourage AI development, once again demonstrating the government's support for this cutting-edge technology. The development of AI technology in China will have profound implications for future society and economy. It remains to be seen what kind of transformation it will bring to China. According to Hong Kong media reports on May 31, the Chinese government has suspended plans to build floating nuclear power plants in the South China Sea due to security concerns. Chinese research teams have pointed out that while offshore floating nuclear power stations have many advantages, safety and feasibility remain the authorities' major concerns. Although China lifted travel restrictions earlier this year and domestic tourism has been booming, the number of visa applications from Chinese citizens is still far below pre-pandemic levels, indicating that international travel by Chinese tourists has not fully recovered yet. It seems that the international tourism market will still take some time to fully rebound. Professor Liu Chaoji, an Australian public health expert, stated that it is not surprising for China to experience a new wave of outbreaks at this time. A large number of people were infected in the weeks following the cancellation of the zero-tolerance policy in December last year, and it has been 6 months since then, so their immunity may have weakened. Due to the lack of testing, the exact number of infections in China can only be estimated through modeling. On the 34th anniversary of the June 4 incident, the Chinese authorities continue to censor related information. The program, Asia Wants to Talk, interviewed 2 witnesses of the June 4 incident, Wu Renhua and Zhang Guangjun, revealing how the Chinese authorities manipulate and distort historical narratives both domestically and internationally, and how they have preserved and spread the truth in the face of suppression. This shows the efforts and courage of grassroots forces in China to uphold historical truth and freedom of speech. Paris will hold commemorative events on June 4, as well as another memorial event on June 3 in Place Saint-Michel. Sinologist Hu Jiming expressed satisfaction with the increasing number of Chinese students participating in the June 4 commemoration. This indicates that the younger generation in China has a deeper understanding and awareness of history, giving us hope. Human Rights Watch condemns the Chinese authorities for prohibiting commemorative activities 34 years after the Tiananmen Square massacre. What is the Chinese government afraid of? Why can't they tolerate people's commemoration and reflection on history? According to a report by Freedom House, there were 583 protest incidents in China between January and March 2023, bringing the total number of events between June 2022 and April 2023 to 2,230, with at least 29,000 participants. This makes us wonder what problems Chinese society is facing and why so many people are taking to the streets. The number of children of China's migrant population has reached 138 million, accounting for nearly half, 46%, of the total number of children in China. This means that 1 out of every 2 children in China is the child of a migrant worker. Does China's population policy and social security policy need more attention and improvement? The Chinese Ministry of Education announced that there were 12.91 million registrations for the National College Entrance Examination, Gaokao, in 2023, an increase of 980,000 compared to last year, reaching a historic high. Xi Jinping visited Beijing Yuying School and wished all Chinese children a happy holiday. He said, "China's socialist education system is good, and China's basic education has advantages in the world. We should have cultural confidence, persist in doing our own things well, and learn from the good things abroad." What do you think is good about China's socialist education system? Is it because our education system allows children to stand out in countless exams and become child prodigies? Qinglong County in Guizhou Province, China, recently released a document seeking opinions on advocating for standards and moving away from outdated customs and practices, proposing a ban on banquets for occasions such as housewarming, engagement, remarriage, full moon celebrations, and birthdays. That's today's news summary. Hope you enjoyed it. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. See you next time. Take care, everyone.